Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Thursday. It is the last day, the 31st day of March 2022. I hope that you are healthy and safe today. I hope that you and your family, in terms of your needs of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health, are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field and those are the first responders who are trying every day to save lives. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage to keep streets and sidewalks, highways clean. Blessings also upon those that make deliveries for our convenience. And double blessings on the men and women trying to help rescue, deliver the victims of child molestation, pedophilia, child pornography, child prostitution, pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery going on all over the United States and all over the earth. And double curses on the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts who traffic in this human misery. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children all across the United States living on the streets right now, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Now, there was a basketball game last night, and the Knicks lost to the Hornets. But that's not the big story to me. That's not the big thing. I mean, when you really think about it, the Knicks have won 6 of their last 10 games. They're 6-4 over their last 10. They did a really good job on the road. They had a back-to-back sweep earlier this week. But last night it was one of those 3 games and 4 night stretches. And that's always tough on any NBA team. And so, you could see it. To me, the bellwether, Deuce McBride, was also the key. He had a bad game last night. He was trying his best, but he was a step slow, and Melo Ball was a step quicker and was getting to the key at will. And he was just the bellwether. Like, the whole team was like that. Everybody was a step slow last night. At first, R.J. Barrett was doing work, and especially in the beginning of the game. But then you could even see with him at the end of the game, everybody was they just didn't have it. They just didn't have it last night. Fournier was shooting the lights out. It was that, 1 in 5 game where he decides to really go off, and he did. But, again, defensively, and of course, it was accompanied with, bad decisions in terms of substitutions by Tom Thibodeau. You take out Obi Toppin, you take out Emmanuel Quickly, who were the only 2 that were playing with any type of energy, and you bring in the sulking Julius Randle, and you bring back Fournier. And I understood the logic of Fournier, at least, because Fournier was shooting the ball well, but you gotta be able to stop people. And it was like the Hornets couldn't miss down the stretch. They just couldn't. So Jericho Sims struggled. Plumlee was just victimizing him last night. And so it was a loss at the Garden. But the thing that really entertained me was the extreme damage control that Madison Square Garden went into last night. That was a sight to behold. This was the first game. Now, y'all tell me if you didn't see it or if you see this differently. But this was the first game in more than a year that Julius Randle did not argue with the refs. It was the first game in more than a year he didn't say anything to the refs. That's number one. I was shocked. He was overly subdued. Okay? Then after the game, they asked him, of course, first of all, they made him available to the media, which, again, this particular season after losses, he's been rarely available to the media, especially in the situation we're now in. And he says, I don't want to be traded. I never said that. No, I never said that. So it's damage control. And I'm finding it amusing, and I'm respecting it, because the Knicks gonna trade him. Don't let the Knicks are gonna trade him, but you got to get value, right? You can't be coming out there brooding every night and expect some team to want you. So he caught that memo, and he was on his best behavior. And RJ Barrett was, the main dude. Ball coming through his hands. Randle, of course, he was pretty efficient offensively, but of course he was horrible on defense. He was bad on defense. I mean, let the guy go by, and your man is near you and somebody else's man gets beat. Just stay by your man. Let the man come in for the layup. He was doing that all night long. The only time he stood up and played some help defense was on the fast break when Miles Bridges was going to flush it on his face and make him a poster. And then he decided to smack my face in the face on the foul. He said, I was like, he ain't going to look bad, huh? It was amazing last night watching the damage control that was taking place at Madison Square Garden. It was something else. So apparently now they're going to use whatever games are left to increase Julius Randle's trade value. That really, that was amazing, man. It was pretty much a typical Knicks loss, but they never did have the 20-point lead last night. It was a seesaw, but that was because they didn't have the energy. They just didn't have the energy last night. They couldn't make a sustained run because they didn't have the energy. And then as they began to make one, like I said, it was Quickly and Toppin that were really bringing the energy, for a run. But of course, Tibbs has to put Randle back in the game, and that was that. Okay. So that was amusing to me that they was really doing that serious damage control. And I'm wondering how long this is going to last. So they play again Saturday at 1:00. Of course, I won't see that game till after the fact, but they play a good Cleveland team. I'm wondering what the next move is going to be because, again, Toppin gets 12 minutes. See, that's what I'm saying. This is damage control. Toppin gets 12 minutes last night. You see what happens with the team with him on the floor. And he gets 12 minutes. I don't know. Well, I do know. It's damage. They marketing Julius Randle. It's kind of silly. It's almost like, you get a person that does certain thing all the time and it's a bad habit, and all of a sudden they need something, so they change suddenly. But it's not really a change, it's just a front to get what they want, right? So what are we talking about here? They're going to trade Julius Randle, and they got to get the most for him that they can, right? So he has got to change his behavior, at least temporarily. It's really crazy, right? I mean, but that's why they do it. So that was all that last night. Don't get fooled by the press conference and him talking, no, I never said that. No, never. I would never do that. I'm here for the long term. I'm built for this. Is he really built for this? I mean, we watched him now for, it's our fourth season watching Julius Randle. No. Is it the fourth? No, it's the third season. It's the final year of that first 3-year deal he signed. The new deal comes in next year. So this is the third season we're watching him. Is he really built for this? Not really, no. No, he's not. Not mentally. Not emotionally. No, he's not. He's not built for this. And, actually, it wasn't as hostile as I expected it to be last night. I expected it to be hostile toward him with all that was been going on. I was shocked that they had the nuts, to actually roll him out there. But they did. And there was boos, intermittently during the game. Of course, he turned the ball over 3 times, 3 stupid turnovers. And and then everybody, see, the thing about the Knicks fan is as emotional as some get and as delusional as some are. And that's going to exist in any crowd when you have a large base of fans like Knick Nation. That's going to exist because just percentage-wise, you're going to get a percentage of all types of people, right? But overall, I find, as a fan base, the Knicks know more basketball than most fan bases. I mean, there are fan bases that know basketball because, like Indiana has a fan base that knows basketball. They go back a long way with basketball in Indiana. So there's fan bases that know basketball. Boston, of course. But New York fan base knows basketball. And we know when you're faking. We know. We know when you're not playing defense. It's pretty obvious, right? And so, but this is not about the Knicks fan base. This is about, matter of fact, the boos, if he's on his best behavior and he's getting boos, that actually helps him because somebody's saying, well, it's New York, It's New York. It's hard for everybody. It's not everybody can play in New York. And you know how those fans are. You know how that media is. It's not like that in, name a team. New Orleans or Dallas or Detroit. He'll be able to adjust better over here. That's the thought process. But yeah, it was total damage control. It really was. I mean, and then of course, Alec Burks plays 41 minutes, RJ Barrett 38 minutes, Fournier 35. I mean, here we are with 5 games left to play, and he's still playing these vets. Ridiculous minutes. Fournier 35, Burks 41, Randle 36. Seriously? Man. So yeah, they still gonna trade Julius Randle. When I said yesterday the Randle ever is over, I'm talking future, like over the summer. Yeah, it's over because they're gonna trade him. And I'm not sure how many other vets, there's gonna be some other movement this summer. You're not gonna see this same team next year, except for the young players. You're going to see the young players come back. Yeah, this circus is about to end, soon. I think we were talking about this in January before the All-Star break. And after the trade deadline, when they did not make the movements I expected them to make, and a number of us expected them to make, we expected some movement in terms of veteran movement over the trade deadline. And when it didn't happen, and of course Thibodeau is going to continue to do, he really just goes in his book and does exactly what he does every game and doesn't change, regardless of the game, as we know. Well, we looked up and we said, okay, 37 wins, right? 37 wins, maybe 39. And I think they're still on pace for that. With how many? They got 77 games. They got 5 games left. So I'm thinking they probably could win. They could win 3 out of 5, And so I'm thinking 37-45. That was the last record that Woodson had before he was unceremoniously fouled by the stupid Phil Jackson. But 37-45. And so that's not, listen, we have seen 17 win New York Knicks teams not that long ago. Some of even your young Y2K dudes seen that. There's been 21 win teams, 17 win teams on the Knicks. Okay. So 37 is a bad year. And this would be only the second time in Tom Thibodeau's career that his team was under 500. With all the criticism of him and all of his, idiosyncrasies, shall we say, he's only had 2 losing seasons in 10 years. This would be the second one. So, there's going to be some changes this summer. I am looking forward to more Obi Toppin, more Emmanuel Quickly, more Deuce McBride, more Mitchell Robinson with RJ Barrett and Quentin Grimes, and let us not forget Grimes and Cam Reddish. And I would just be happy to see that crew play, big minutes, because we got talent on our team. It was killing me. There was some cat from Chicago. See, this is the thing that bothers me. Some of these cats got huge platforms, like they get funded, they get sponsored, they get loot, they get paid, and they don't have no idea what they're talking about in terms of basketball. They're like, I understand if they were bringing some sort of entertainment value, but they just dissing the Knicks. So this dude was talking about the Knicks don't have any talent on that roster. I'm like, what the hell is he looking at? See, that's a guy that is in Chicago and kind of glimpsing at the Knicks and reading other tea leaves from other people and just regurgitating it. No talent. Cam Reddish don't have no talent. Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickly, Mitchell Robinson don't got no talent. I mean, I can understand if you're saying, well, they're not all-star level. But he said the roster has no talent. And he said the only talent we have is, wait, listen for it, Julius Randle. I was like, what? But you see, that's what I'm saying when I talk about Nick hate in the media. See, I wouldn't respond to him. I wouldn't type anything to him or text him, because that's what the point is. That's what the goal is, to get you to respond to stupidity. You know, like I said, Nick Nation knows basketball. Okay, we know basketball. Some of us, have different opinions, obviously. But overall, we can tell when a team is not that good. We can tell when it's very good. We can tell when they're putting forth effort, and we can tell when they're not. Okay? And so I think all of us, let me not say all, because there's never an all with Nick Nation. There's never an all. But I say the majority of us want a couple of things. We want the Knicks to win, right? We want the Knicks to win long-term sustainable winning, right? And we want to see the young players that we have drafted, with the exception of Reddish, because we didn't draft him, but we want him included. We want to see these young players continue to develop and move forward. You see, this is the thing again, and that knucklehead mentioned this too, talking about wanting a star to bring them. Look, long-term sustainable winning means you go through steps. It's not an overnight process. It's a year-by-year process. And generally, it's a 5-year process. Okay? So, we're in year 2 of a 5-year process. What do I mean 5 years? That in 5 years, you're in championship contention. Okay? So, this is year 2. You're getting R.J. Barrett at 21. Right? You're getting Emmanuel Quickly at 21, 22. You're getting Deuce McBride at 21. You're getting Mitchell Robinson. He's about to turn 24 in the next month or so. He's going to turn 24. You got Obi Toppin, who just turned 24. Okay? So if you were to keep this nucleus, and you got Quentin Grimes, who's 21, 22. You got Cam Reddish, who's 22. So you keep this nucleus, right? Imagine what this nucleus is like in 2 seasons. You can't look at it right now. You got to look ahead, Knicks Nation. So you let them play together. They played together this year a little bit. That's why the Tom Thibodeau style with the veterans, it hurt us. Because you want these kids to play together. You want them seedlings to grow up together into trees. And so you play them together, whatever the record's going to be. And I believe if you gave Tibbs just young people, don't give him no vets, nobody over 30, and you make him play them, he will do his best coaching. He will do his best coaching in that scenario. Because the kids respect him, right? And they're still playing hard. So you continue to develop them. Don't look to trade for the next star. Don't give them all away for somebody that's half-baked. Don't try to get the next draft pick by trading them. You develop them. And next year, if you let them all play together, they'll come out with a winning record next year. Then the following year, they're taking the next step. Now, 2 years from now, you're looking at R.J. Barrett at 23. You're looking at Mitchell Robinson at 26. You're looking at these guys in their mid-20s, not yet still in their prime, but good. And now you're contending for a championship. It's a whole different scene in 2 seasons. But you got to let it happen. No shortcuts. There's nobody out there you want to trade everybody for to go get. There's no savior for the New York Knicks. You have to develop slowly. It's a 5-year process. And by the time you get in the 4th season, 2 seasons from now, some superstar is going to be wanting to come here. They're going to see what's going on, and they're going to say, I'm that final piece in New York. And during the course of the time, as they're growing, developing, and winning more games, the whole Knicks nation is going to be behind them. Of course, you're going to always have knuckleheads that's going to hate people. There's just some people that just going to hate because their lives are miserable. But I'm saying, as a whole, you're going to get the Knicks nation hyped for the possibilities of this team. This is just year 2. Leon put us back by bringing on these vets because we all thought, based on Julius Randle's last season, that was going to be the new Julius Randle. That was an anomaly. That's not the new Julius Randle. And Leon ain't stupid. He sees that. And this $24 million that he got coming next year, that could be moved. And it's going to be. So you get that out your way. You reset the whole thing to what you really need to be doing, which I really believe that was Leon's plan. His plan was to trade Julius 2 summers ago and start Obi Toppin and go young with Obi Toppin, RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson. That was the plan. But they derailed the plan because of Thibodeau and because of the win now approach and because they get a big star savior approach and the veteran approach. And no, we don't do that. And I think just judging on Tom's last press conference, they talking to him about it because he started talking more about getting in-game experience for the young people when he ain't been doing that. And last night, 12 minutes for Obi Toppin? What? Anyway, this is the direction I believe they're headed. And so just be patient, Knicks Nation. Yeah, it's year 2 of our rebuild. It's a 5-year plan. And you're going to see if they do this right and you just get rid of these veterans and you play these kids, you're going to see the growth over the next 2 years, especially when you got a Tom Thibodeau, a taskmaster that demands defense, that demands high level of preparation. That's what you need. That's what young players need. They don't always respond to it like they did in Minnesota. They didn't respond well to it overall. Okay, he came putting foot in behind and they weren't having it. But if it's an effort that is collective between the front office and the coach, and everybody understands what direction you're going and what plan it is. Again, it goes back to making an established decision plan to do a certain direction and understanding the time frame that you're dealing with. You're not dealing with win today and forget tomorrow. You're building toward tomorrow. You want long-term sustainable winning. And so that, I believe, is why I wasn't as worried about him returning to the status quo last night and the fake Julius Randle humility and the damage control and the no defense on Randle's side and the veteran laden minutes and taking out the youth when you're making a run and losing. It's all good because I think we're going to be all right. I want to see what happens this summer. Yeah, we're going to see what happens. Anyway, y'all have a good Thursday. Be safe out there. Shalom.